Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Reality, spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality, spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Good now, real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Global Happiness Specialist, Rebecca L. Norrington. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to the show, sharing the show. Woo, wow, the Reality Spirituality is growing every week. I don't know how. Because listen, I don't know how this marketing thing works, but people are finding the show and people are sharing, and I want to thank you if you've shared or you found the show. Welcome to Reality Spirituality, the show that shares, the show that teaches how to experience more happiness on this journey. That's the whole show. It's been going on, Reality Spirituality, for over 10 years, and it's always been the same question: how do you experience more happiness? Now, how many of my dear, sweet audience is out there that really wants to experience more happiness? You can raise your hand. I can see you. Yes, I can see you. I can feel you. And that's really what's going on. Listen. This happiness thing, what I've discovered is happiness is a practice skill. And so what I share on the show is what to practice. It's really very simple. It's a simple concept. It's a simple truth. However, the practice is a simple practice, but it's a lot of looking in the mirror. It's a lot of questioning your beliefs. It's a lot of exposure on the programming. But the formula for happiness is real. There is a formula, and when I say it's a practice skill, like any other skill, when you commit to the practice, and it is a daily practice, not a weekly practice. It's more than a daily practice. It's a moment-by-moment practice. And the more you practice, the better the results. And so the question you ask yourself, are you ready to practice? Are you ready to prioritize happiness in front of everything else? In front of everything else, because quite frankly, the people that have all the money, people that have all the fame, people that you look and have that seem to have everything, sometimes they're missing that one ingredient. And that's why Rebecca L. Norrington, Global Happiness Specialist, I think that happiness is the key. Happiness is the first priority. No, scratch. My priority and my commitment. When I was younger, I wanted two things. I wanted to live to my potential, and I wanted to be happy. And this wanting to be happy was I'm looking around the corner. I'm looking around the corner every single day, every experience for happiness. And what I found is that life, and let me see if you relate, but life is a roller coaster. It really is. Life, the experience in this life is a roller coaster. Regardless of what happens, regardless if you're a happiness specialist or not, it's a roller coaster for me. But the good news is when you practice eliminating the behaviors that subtract from happiness, and when you cultivate and add the behaviors that add to your happiness, guess what? You will feel you will feel more peace on the journey. And when I say happiness, happiness is interchangeable. That word is interchangeable with contentment, with peace, with balance. You know, that just that relaxed feeling. You know what I'm talking about? That feeling that it's a deep sigh out. That the deep sigh out. The ease, the chill. That's what I'm talking about when I say happiness. So that word happiness is a buzzword. Happy is a buzzword, but that's what I mean. It's an internal peace, an internal contentment. And when I say there is a formula for it, it's true. And the formula contains one ingredient. Well, let me scratch that. 2 ingredients. It's you and the universe, or whatever you believe. You can say God, you can say spirit, higher power, source energy, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to name it. That is the formula. It's just you and your relationship with the higher power, or lack of relationship. Because what I found is I've really developed a relationship. I call it the universe, with the universe. And there are days when I'm calling them assholes. That's right, I do that, calling them assholes and say why. But there is a relationship. So my first question to you is, what is your relationship with the universe? What is your relationship with God? What is your relationship with Source? And that, when you cultivate and you develop and you are aware and you are, what's the word? When you are investing in your relationship with the universe, you will receive. Well, you're always receiving responses, but you will feel, scratch the receive, you will feel that you have a relationship. You're never alone. You're never alone. You have a relationship, and it's not a man-made relationship with another person. It is a singular relationship with you and the universe. And that is when I say it's important because it's like having a twin. No, it's like having what do they call those twins that are joined together? It's like having someone right there with you all the time. You are never alone. You are never without answers. And that relationship is very, very fulfilling. So fulfilling, in fact, that there is a centeredness. There is a centeredness. There is a deep, deep-rooted feeling that you are connected and aligned with an entity that is serving you in every single moment. In every single moment, you are being served by the universe. The first part of when I say happiness is a practice skill, the first part of the practice starts with gradually eliminating behaviors that subtract from happiness. And then the second part of the practice is cultivating behaviors that have been established to add to happiness. It's very, very simple, but it's not an easy practice, because if it was an easy practice, everyone would be doing it. What's wrong with the world today? What are the biggest problems in the world today? Is it poverty? Is it disease? Is it politics? Is it overpopulation, wars, religion, global warming, animal rights? What's the biggest problem? What are the biggest problems that the world faces today? Well, I'm raising my humble hand, and I'm saying unhappy people. That's it. The problem is unhappy people, because happy people don't wage wars. Happy people don't fight. Happy people don't argue. Happy people don't hold grudges. Happy people don't judge others. Happy people don't look out and blame someone else or some other circumstances for how they're feeling. Happy people don't do that. And when I say happy, I'm still talking about this internal peace. It's never a look out and complain. It's never a look out and finding there's something wrong. Peaceful people, happy people don't do that. it's like a fish doesn't come out and start walking. When you are connected and you are rooted in your relationship with the universe and that relationship, that deep relationship, and you are rooted in and you value and you chase peace. When you chase and you look for and you search for peace and you search for contentment. I'm not searching for a bigger bank account. Yeah, and hey, that would be nice. But it's not a necessity for happiness. It's not a necessity. Not only is it not a necessity. You know, I was looking at it, getting off a little bit. I was looking at a documentary on Tiger Woods. I love documentaries on people that the world deems and labels successful. You know, what is that word successful? First of all, you know it's a man-made word. You know it's a program word, that word success. What does that really mean, success? And I'm going to share that success is defined by you, my dear audience, not anyone else. Success is defined by you. How do you, in other words, how do you want to feel on your deathbed? What do you want to experience on your deathbed? And if you listen to some of these people that are highly successful, one of the things that Tiger Woods was talking about is it's not money, it's not fame, it's not even the most what do they call them? Not masters, tournaments. It's not even the most tournaments that he won. I mean, it's satisfying in the moment. It's very briefly satisfying. This show, Reality Spirituality, what I'm talking about is how to feel that satisfaction, that sense of peace, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of what's happening. How do you hold on to that? How do you maintain that? And it is possible. It is possible to be in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean in a small rowboat, and you've got the waves crashing, and you've got a tsunami coming, and the rowboat is spinning round and round and around, and you can still feel peace. You can still be at peace. See, the thing about peace is you don't need to feel peaceful to be peaceful. You connect to that inner peace. So it's not really relying on your feelings. Sometimes I'm going to feel angry, sometimes, and all the labels, you know, I'm just going to put the label on it. Angry, sad, stress, which is all illusions anyway, but I'm just throwing them out. Stress, sad, mad, all of those are illusions, and of course man has labeled them, and not only has man labeled your emotions, but now man has judged the emotions. Sad is bad, and happy is good. So when I say happy, I'm talking about a peaceful vibration, an energetic vibration, not based on something that is happening or something that is not happening. This happiness that I'm talking about, this peace that I'm talking about, is rooted in the universe. And the universe is all peaceful. Regardless of what's happening, it is a peaceful universe. Even when worlds collide, even when, okay, now I'm really getting off on a tangent, but the point is, it's the peace that is always being sought. If you notice, in fact, Tiger Woods said, he says, it's not the fame, it's not the fortune, it's not the masters. This man is looking to feel good, to feel peaceful. And if he's looking for peace, that's what everybody's looking for it. I don't care who you are or how successful it looks. Listen, we've talked about, you know the evidence that's out there, these people that have everything, but they're missing, they're not happy. We're looking for happiness. And the problem comes when you look for happiness in things or in human relationships or in accomplishments. Those are temporary. That's a temporary fix. What I'm talking about is a unwavering, deep-seated peace that doesn't go away ever. But it is a practice, and the real problem is the programming that teaches us to judge, the programming that teaches us the programming that teaches us that there are things that we need to do to achieve this happiness or this peace. The question for today's show, the topic of today's show is, are you okay? And that's a question that only you can answer. But I want to share with you when I say, are you okay? If you know me, you know that it's not that it's a trick question, but it's a real question that you can ask yourself in every single moment of your day. And when I say, are you okay, I'm talking about, are you okay with it all? Are you okay with everything? Are you okay with all of what you are experiencing? Not just the good stuff, with all of it. One of the practices is the commitment to trusting, the commitment to practicing trust, practicing trusting that you know that the universe is here serving you in every moment. You know that whatever situation you find yourself in, there is a reason for it. There is a reason for it, and it is there for your growth, for your expansion, for your evolution, for another level in consciousness, for more self-awareness. All of these are empowering to the individual, powering to you, empowering to self. And when I say, are you okay, my second question is, what's really bothering you? You could write it down. You could write down 5 things. In fact, I encourage you. What are 5 things that are really bothering you in this moment? And I'm going to smile here because when I ask myself that question, if and when, I already know, if I ask myself that question, I'm forced to say, because, listen, if I'm a global happiness specialist, I just don't speak it. I walk it. I practice it. It's not just the talk. It's the walk. So when I ask, are you okay, the answer is always yes. Now, I may curse at them, and I may say to the universe, I hate you. This isn't what my ego would like. But the truth is, the real truth is, yes, universe, I'm okay. Yes, universe, I'm okay with a little bit of aches and pains. I'm okay with things not going my way. And when I say going my way, I'm really talking about my ego, because there's 2 entities. I have my ego, which is a program entity that strives, who never sleeps, who never rests, to try to make me feel as bad about my life, about myself, about other people for as long as possible. Oh, yeah, the ego will point out faults. The ego will complain. The ego will point and blame. So when I say, are you okay, don't ask your ego that. Don't ask your ego, because it will always have a complaint. My ego always has a complaint. Before I go on, let me give you the call-in number, and you can call in and speak with me live. It is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619. So, okay, the question, are you okay? What's really bothering you? Just have fun and make a list. Make a list of your 5 top things that are bothering you, and go down each item in the list and ask yourself ask yourself with each item that you've written down. You might get 5, you might have 10, because usually people can write a whole book about what's bothering them and what's wrong. It's really easy to point out and focus on what's wrong. And I'm saying that because of my own experience. I mean, come on, I could sit down and snap my fingers and come up with what's wrong in seconds. The practice is to know that whoever is authoring, not whoever, the statements that you're writing, what's wrong, all ego-based, always ego-based. Now, I'm not hating on my ego. But I know the difference. I know the difference between. It's like knowing different authors. Now this is really off base. I'm a really big Columbo fan, and one of the episodes in Columbo, there was a writer, and he was part of a writing team. So there were 2 writing teams, and one of the authors wrote everything. He was the star. He wrote it all, and the other guy was just kind of a hanger-oner. And so the one that wrote everything, that wrote all the bestsellers, he wanted to split from the group. He says, I'm doing all the work. And so I don't really need you, want you. We don't need to be partners anymore. And, of course, as a Columbo episode, the guy that wasn't doing any work kills the author, murders the author that did all the writing. My point is this. Do I really have a point to this? Lord have mercy. How the hell did I do that? Let's see. The point is this. Know who is writing. Know who is the author. Know who is the author of that list. I don't even know why I went to the Columbo reference, but anywho, now you know I love Columbo. Know who is the author of that list. And I'm telling you, if you're writing down things that you wish were different, they're all written by your ego. There is not one universal statement, especially if there's a complaint. All complaints are by the ego. So when I'm saying recognize and know that the ego is the author, and the ego is always suspect, because the ego isn't interested in my well-being. You know what the ego is interested in? You know what the ego is invested in? The ego is invested in surviving, its own survival. The ego is invested in its surviving. And the more I feed it, the more I give attention to it, the more I believe it, the more I indulge it, the stronger it gets. The more I feed it, the stronger it gets. And not only the stronger it gets, the more it is able to drive. I've used this analogy before. I haven't used it in a long time, but picture this. You're in your dream car. I don't know what it is. Pick your dream car. Ferrari, Rolls, Mercedes, it doesn't matter what kind of Lamborghini, what is it, Maybach, whatever. I don't even know what a Maybach is, but I know that. I know that it's one of the really fancy schmancy cars. But pick whatever car that is your dream car. It could be an SUV. And so you're in your dream car, and you're in the back seat, or you're in the passenger seat if there's only 2 seated. You're in the passenger seat, and my question to you is, who's driving? Who's driving your dream car? Well, the answer to that question is the universe. Unless you allow your ego to drive. And when I allow my ego to drive, I'm crashing around every corner. Because when I allow my ego to drive, guess what? Guess what I don't feel? Guess what I don't do? I'm not trusting. I'm not accepting of the moment. I'm not choosing a perspective. I'm not patient. I'm not staying out of everybody's business. I'm not being honest with myself. See, this honesty really comes with the question, are you honest with yourself? You don't have to be honest with anyone else. That's right, I said it. You don't have to be honest with anyone else. But being honest with yourself, is a key to peace. So when I talk about who's driving, when the universe is driving, guess what you're feeling? You're surrendering to the moment. You're humbling your ego. You have a loving relationship with yourself and with the universe. You're accepting of other people. You're not judging other people. You're okay with unconscious. You're okay with living consciously. You are okay. That's what I meant to say. You're okay with uncertainty, which means not knowing the future, not even being involved with your future, not even having a relationship with the future. You're choosing your perspective. You're choosing your focus. You have patience. See, the relationship, who's driving your car, and who's driving your car the majority of the time. I'm telling you right now, when you give the wheel over, when you give the control over to your ego, you're going to have a lot of the vibrations of unsatisfaction. And so when you vibrate, we're all energy, and we vibrate we're vibrating at different levels at different times during the day. And when you're vibrating that vibration, listen to this, the vibration of satisfaction. When you're vibrating that vibration of satisfaction, guess what you're going to take into your future moment? Another more vibration of satisfaction. So you're either vibrating satisfaction or you're vibrating dissatisfaction in any moment. And if you're vibrating dissatisfaction, I'm here to tell you it's because your ego is telling you you're dissatisfied. So it's very important to know the difference between the two entities. You can feel it, and know that the ego's job is to really, really make you feel bad in as many moments as possible. What do you have control over? What are you able to control? Self, and that's it. So whatever you don't have control over, noticing, paying attention to, focusing on, even having a perspective about it, is going to subtract from your peace and subtract from your happiness. When I ask you, are you okay, and I say what's really bothering you, and you make your list, guess what? That list that you're making, what's really bothering you. Let me give you an example of a list that's really let me give you an example of my list. Here we go. Let me give you my list when I would write what's really bothering me. What really bothers me, if I'm writing a list, is, what, universe, I could practice having more trust. You know what, universe, how do I practice having more trust? How do I let go of judgments of self and of others? Universe, I have a problem with having, I'm pretty good at letting go of expectations, even though they creep in a little bit, because all expectations subtract from happiness. Every single time, all expectations subtract from happiness. So, I've been caught saying, I had an expectation. The other thing I would practice, let's see, when I'm saying what's wrong, what's really bothering me, am I okay? Universe, I would like more And see, that I know I'm going around and around, but I want to say this before I forget it. You can always ask for help. When you ask the universe how can I feel different about this moment? How can I change my perspective? How can I feel more at peace with what's going on? When you throw out those questions, how can I, how do I, you will always get a response. You may not get a response in the same day. It's just like someone texting you. Sometimes you receive a text right away. Sometimes you receive a text days later. Because I'm one of those types, if you text me, I'm not going to text you right away all the time. I may text you back days later unless there's an immediate need to respond. So, but my point is, you always get a response back when you ask how to. You can ask for help. I ask for help all the time. Just because I'm a global happiness specialist doesn't mean I don't need help too. It is a practice. It is a daily practice. Universe, how can I let go? How can I accept this moment as perfect? How can I trust and believe and surrender in every moment, accept every moment, and know that it is there to serve me? The questions, I always ask the universe, how. And then I also say, universe, keep me open to all possibilities. It's not my plan. Listen, just between me and you, please don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. But it's not my plan here. Because my plan would look a lot different. Scratch that. My ego's plan would look a lot different than the way it looks. My ego's plan I would be in a different place. I would be doing something different. I would be surrounded by different people. It would be different. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there, well, you got to, well, let's see. I don't even want to go down that road. Scratch that, what I just said. Let me get back to talking to the ego and asking. And I say, how do I stay open, universe? How can I feel relaxed with uncertainty? How can I be at peace with uncertainty? How can I be happy, not knowing, but how can I be happy trusting what I don't even know is going to happen? How can I be at peace with every moment in my life? See, those are my questions. Those are really what hey, universe, help me. Help me to relax. Help me to feel balanced. Help me to surrender. Help me to accept. Help me to find more than one perspective. Because when you write, when you're out there and you say, well, there's something wrong with this, it could be anything. It could be millions of things. But, yeah, universe, I'm looking at this. I'm pointing my finger. There's something wrong. Well, the only reason why there's something wrong, the only reason why I feel that, this needs to be changed is because I have a singular, which means only one, perspective. So when I say, are you okay, and you write down a list of why you're not okay, my challenge to you, and again, happiness is a practice skill, you are the only one that can practice. I can't practice for you. I can give you some tips. I can give you some pointers. I can give you what I experienced and how I, ran into the wall a few times. But it comes back to you. It comes back to you and your practice. I had a point. What was it? Practice. Oh, no, I lost my main point. Oh, okay, perspective. Okay, I'm back. I know that something is suspect when all I have is one perspective. I don't care what's on your list. Whatever you write down on your list, can you find another perspective for each one of those items that you listed that are telling you, are showing you that you're not okay? Can you look at something in a different way? Can you expand your perspective? Because I'm telling you, that singular perspective, that's only one way to look at one thing, only one focus, only one way, is subtracting from your peace, is subtracting from your happiness. This only one perspective is all ego, because my ego can only see one perspective. My ego can only give me, will only provide me with one perspective. The universe, it is unlimited amount of perspective. Unlimited. I'll give you a real example. One of my best friends, he was raised by his mother, and I say that because, isn't everybody raised by their mother? And the answer is no. That's another perspective. His older brother, who was probably, I think he was 5 or 6 years older, his mother had got pregnant, I believe, when she was either 15 or 16. 15 or 16, very, very young to have a child. And so when she did have the child, her mother, my best friend's grandmother, raised the child because she was 16. She didn't know how to raise the child, didn't want her. I don't know the details, but she gave the child to her mother to raise. So this boy, who was born 6 years before, he was 6 years older than my best friend, was raised by his grandmother, even though his mother, and he believed that was his mother. They called, the grandmother, I'm your mom. Call me mom. So he was raised by his grandmother, and he thought this woman who was younger, was his aunt. He never knew that the woman was his mother. He thought his grandmother was his mother. I hope I'm not being too confusing. So my best friend, his mother, was raised by his mother, his real mother. And they grew up, even though they had the same mother, they didn't know it. One thought that the grandmother was his mother, and the other one thought that the mother was his sister. Hopefully I'm not confusing. Let's get back to the point. So my best friend who was raised by his mother has the perspective that his mother was this wonderful, loving woman. Wonderful, loving, caring, doting, sweet, sweet young woman. Meanwhile, his older brother, who he thought was his uncle, his older brother, had a different concept. When he found out that this woman that was his grandmother, when he found out that this woman was not his mother, it was really his grandmother, and this other lady who had him at an early age, he had this perspective of her having a child at 16, a very judgmental perspective. You are very disfavorable. You're what are they? Slut, whore, whatever name he put on her. He really disliked her because, and all of his life, he hated her because he had this perspective that his mother was a tramp. Okay, let me just put it, I hope I'm just making it simple. I don't know why I tried to complicate that. It's a complicated story, but and I made it even more complicated. So hopefully you're following me. But he had a perspective that his mother was a tramp. Meanwhile, my best friend thought his mother was just great. Two people from the same mother with different perspectives. And when I say that he thought his mother was a tramp, there was no way in his entire life that you could change that perspective that he had of his mother. So when I say pay attention to your perspective. And if you only can find one, if you only have one, if you can only come up with one perspective, know that the ego is keeping you stuck with that one perspective. One perspective. This is just another really quick, and I'm going to go to the phones because I have a few people that want to ask a question. And again, the number to call in is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619. Press the number 1 and you can speak with me live. I'm going to go to the phones right after this. There was a woman who finally who wrote in and actually she called in. She said she had her dream job. She had her dream job. She finally got her dream job, but the problem was her dream job was an hour-and-a-half commute, and all she could do was, after months and months of getting this job, and now she's commuting, and it's an hour-and-a-half, and she complained her whole hour-and-a-half of commuting because she could only see one perspective. It's a long commute, on and on. And I asked her, this was years ago, and I said, can you come up with another perspective? Can you find something else in the hour and a half to do other than complain about your commute? Can you find something that is going to benefit you in that hour and a half as opposed to just complaining about it? I mean, you can't complain and feel happy at the same time. So the point is, it's your practice. You can practice finding a different perspective in any situation. I look at the divide in this country, when I say this country because I'm in the United States, and the divide in this country. And I could look at it as, wow, this is tragic. What is tragic? But the truth is that even this country has a destiny. Even this country has a destiny, and it's living out the destiny. And the trust that everything is in order, it is a practice that I've had to hold on to for dear life. Because even your global happiness specialist, listen, if I let my ego be in charge, I could find so many issues and so many problems with what's going on. Because my ego wants to focus on the quote-unquote problems, the program problems. So there's two ways to look at any situation, but it is a self-awareness. This is a practice self-awareness. So when I ask, are you okay, I'm not asking your ego, because your ego is always going to give me, yeah, there's something wrong. The ego will always say that there's something wrong. No, I'm not okay. The ego is always going to point out faults. So when I ask you, when you ask yourself, are you okay? Know who you're asking. Let me go to the phones. Okay, I have a number that is it's a private number, so I'm going to go to that first. Let me ask your name. Hold on a second. It is private number. What is your first name? Welcome to Reality Spirituality. Hello.
Yeah, my name is Joe.
Hi, Joe. Welcome to Reality Spirituality.
Thanks. I came here because I took a look at your description page, and it says you are a happiness expert. So I've never spoken to a happiness expert before.
Well, this is your lucky day.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. I've spoken to motivational speakers, relationship counselors, life counselors, but, happiness expert. All right, so while I was on the line, I heard you talking about perspectives. And you're saying, but you shouldn't focus on the problem only. You should focus on seeing if you can find different perspectives. Now, if you can't focus on the problem, what then do you suggest? Now, you've already suggested different perspectives, but what else do you suggest?
Well, how about this? And if this is the first time listening, let me. What I really do well is give me something specific. something specific to you and your life, or some kind of challenge that you are experiencing, and ask me a question about that. Because one of the things that, and I probably should announce it every show, but the general questions really don't serve too well. And what's the problem? Here's the solution. And the solution comes with feeling that feeling of happiness, peace, which was peace, contentment, all of that, relaxed, balance, satisfaction. So give me something specific that I can chew on if you feel inspired.
No, I won't talk about myself.
What's going on in your life, Joe?
But,
what is one of your challenges? Let's go.
Let's say I said I wouldn't talk about myself, but I can give you a situation that occurs all the time, and which has occurred to people that I do know, and it would be domestic violence. I know of a woman who is married to a man who doesn't appreciate her. Don't quite know if he beats her, but I do know that he likes to pull the rug out from her hopes every once in a while. He'll say, yes, you can go there, then says no. Says, yes, you can have this, but says no. And does this quite often. And
let me stop you here. Joe, let me just stop you really quick, because one of the things, it's really interesting how people can get in a conversation about other people and what's going on in their lives and what's wrong with them. And I really respect and understand that you don't want to speak about yourself, but that's where you're going to get the most information from me about really what's and nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows who you are. You are anonymous. Your name may be Joe, but I really would love to hear, what are your challenges? Do you have anything that you are, struggling with?
No, there's nothing that I would like to talk about regarding me in terms of being anonymous.
Okay. Then what I have to say is, I don't do hypotheticals, and I don't talk about anyone else, because unless they're calling in to ask me, but what I will tell you is, I know that you're in their business. I know that you're in their business, and I know that you're making judgments, and I know that when people are judgy and are in other people's business, they are not experiencing as much peace and happiness as they could. I definitely know that, and I know that when it's really easy, because I used to do the same thing, it's really easy to look at someone else and focus at someone else and talk about someone else. But the truth is,
I don't want to talk about me.
Hold on. Let me just finish my last point. My last point is, I know for a fact that whatever anybody is going through, it is their own personal journey. It is their own personal journey and their own personal journey is the only word I can come up with right now. And so unless someone asks me, I know that everything is in order. And if somebody asks me a question, everything is in order. I know that, I believe that, and I trust that. And I understand that you...
Okay, I wanted to find out your philosophy, but you want to make it very specific. I feel like not revealing anything opposed to your particular philosophy, so fine. You can't give me anything about the foundation of your philosophies that I can glean from, which might be helpful to me. That's your choice.
Well, I'll give you some of my foundational authors. Some of my foundational authors are David Hawkins. Some of my foundational authors are Esther Ernest Holmes. Some of my foundational authors are Chopra. Some of my foundational authors are entities are Abraham. I give you all my foundation. But as far as just giving a
then what are you doing
general...
What are you doing on Blog Talk Radio, talking when nobody calls in? Are you not talking about certain philosophies that you think would help the people that are out there, even though they're not telling you about themselves specifically?
You know what I love about you, Joe? You know what I love about you?
Yeah, I tell the facts.
Everything. And the other thing that I love, is one of the things about this happiness thing is looking in the mirror.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Goodbye.
No. Boop, 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 boop. was interesting. Okay, let me go to area code 951. Area code 951. You are on Reality Spirituality. What's your first name?
Hi, it's Nathaniel calling in.
Hi, Nathaniel. He didn't like my answer.
A little cynical and critical.
What?
A little cynical and critical, maybe?
Well, whatever he was, I'll tell you this, he's not very peaceful and not very happy. Woo!
I'm sure, I don't know.
Anywho, what's going on with you this week?
Well, I got to move. The people I'm living in are selling the house, so I'm looking to apply for an apartment here. So I'll be headed off to the Wild Butte Yonder, and I just love it. So wanted to see if you had any words of wisdom for my life.
Well, you know what's interesting? I do remember when you called before, and you were in a state of didn't really know what was going on, uncertainty, and now things are moving, things are seen to be changing, things are, the thing about this evolution and evolving, it really requires patience, and sometimes I'm even talking about myself, being impatient is a practice, or being patient is a practice. And so what I feel from you, Nathaniel, really weekly is more patience, more acceptance, more just more openness. And you feel like just a different vibration than when I remember you calling in before. I really do feel that. I'm getting chills. How do you feel? How do you see, this is my question to you, how do you feel you are different from a month ago?
Just more comfortable in my own skin, I guess.
Wow.
Was that good? Or
I'm getting chills again, and so what you just said is a lesson for everyone. Can you repeat that, please, only because it sounds so good coming from your heart and your mouth?
Well, just more comfortable in my own skin, just in my own path and just being me.
Now, see, that's a whole show. That's a whole show, what you just said. Just being comfortable in your own skin, and which also means there is a loving acceptance, and there is a lack of comparing. There is no comparing to others because we are as unique as our fingerprints, and I can really feel that, and it's something that I practice too, just being okay being me, and as odd and as strange and as wacky as I am and weird and crazy as I am, I'm okay with it. And it sounds like you are, and it sounds like, and it feels like you're at that same place.
Yeah, you got to love yourself.
And accept. Love and accept. The acceptance is really accepting it all. Not only accepting self, but accepting everything that happens and everything that doesn't happen. It's really quite sometimes a challenging practice, because there are things that my ego doesn't really want to accept. But if it's happening, then my universal self knows that everything is in order. I really appreciate you, Nathaniel. I really appreciate you, and I love that you call in and you connect and you share with not only me but with the audience, because you're also teaching and sharing with others your journey. So I appreciate that, Nathaniel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Mm-hmm. Woo, listen, I've done this show for a long time. Thank you again, Nathaniel, for a long time, because I'm going to end the show. And you don't know how many people have hung up on me and gotten angry. How many people have hung up and gotten angry at me? But this is the truth. They're not angry at me. They can point the finger. They can point the finger, but they're not angry at me. But they can blame me, and they can point the finger, and they can say that it's me. But the truth is, it is a program that shares that if I don't, there's a lot going on. There's judgments. There's I'm right. There's I'm going to focus on someone else. There's a lot of stuff that gentleman said. And the interesting thing about not wanting to talk about yourself, and I'm not going to make a judgment because a lot of people don't, but not wanting to talk about yourself means that there's something to talk about, doesn't it? Not wanting to talk about self means that there is something to talk about. And the interesting thing about, because I don't do hypotheticals, I don't do theories, I don't talk about somebody else that's not on the phone. I don't do it, but there's plenty of people that will. But because I don't do it, that's a problem, or that was a problem. But that is even more evidence of what this show teaches and what this show shares. That's perfect evidence. I actually love when people call in and they disagree with me, and I love it because all it is exposure. It is exposing themselves. Happy people don't get angry. When I say don't get angry, let me scratch that. Happy people, this gentleman that called in, really? Where's the peace? Where is the peace? That's a question mark. Woo! Reality Spirituality is heard every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. My website is RebeccaNorrington.com. Follow me on Twitter at RLNorrington. LinkedIn, I have an Instagram handle, Reality Spirituality. YouTube channel, you can search my name or Reality Spirituality on YouTube. There's a couple of videos there. My first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon.com. And my second book, Program for Unhappiness, is going to be out sometime this year. Oh, let me go back to this Joe again, the guy that hung up. The other thing that I practice is not taking anything personally. Absolutely nothing. Nothing personal is said. Nothing is done that's personal. It's another practice. And until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who you are. You are a physical extension of the universe. You're always evolving, you're always changing, and you're always growing. Love is kind, and love is patient. Be kind and patient to yourself. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality Radio with yours truly, Global Happiness Specialist Rebecca Lynn Norrington. Have a conscious week, and remember, happiness is a practice skill, and your experience in every moment reflects on what you practice. Have a great week, everyone.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Reality Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality Spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, Get down.